We rise, we fall. We shall rise again and conquer our falls. These falls shouldn't confine us. Let our rises always define us. A very pleasant morning to one and all. Respected Dr. Sudhir Nanavati, President, JLS University and Executive Vice President, Gujarat Law Society. Dr. Chandani Kapadia, Executive Director, JLS University. Dr. B.H. Joshi, Provost, JLS University. Dr. Hitesh Ruparel, Director General, JLS University. Dr. Dharmesh Shah, Registrar, JLS University. Dr. Savita Gandhi, Dean, FCIT and FCT, JLS University. Mr. Kuldeep Pabla, Executive Vice President, Products and Engineering, Sierra.ai, USA, and other esteemed speakers for the events, deans, directors, and heads of JLS University and JLS, faculties from various participating colleges and universities across the country, my colleagues at FCIT and FCT, dear student participants, and all the viewers joining us live today. On behalf of Faculty of Computer Applications and Information Technology and Faculty of Computer Technology, I, Professor Ankita Kanodia, welcome you all to this promising morning to witness the inaugural ceremony of International Webinar and Tech Fest CyberShadez 2022 on the theme of Blue Eyes. At this Tech Fest, we are all set to celebrate the technology that has normalized the new normal. Since 2 years and more, now we are all striving to connect, communicate, exchange, and expand our horizons of knowledge and innovations, though not physically, but intellectually, of course. And CyberShadez 2022 has been an ardent platform for intellectuals that bring together ideas and innovations from across the world. To ring in the pious start to the event, let us all join in our spirit and prayers by offering Saraswati Vandana.
Ya kundetu Ya Shubhasramruta Ya Veena Varadanda Vanditakara Ya Shveta Padmasana Ya Brahmachyuta Shankara Prabhuti Devai Sadastita Samavatu Saraswati Bhagavati Nisheshajanapaha.
An avid researcher, an accomplished academician, and a visionary leader. We are all indeed privileged to receive the guidance and mentorship of Dr. Savita Gandhi, Dean, FCAIT and FCT, JLS University. May I now request ma'am to deliver welcome address for the event.
Good morning. Namaste. Hello, everybody. Please accept our warm welcome for this inauguration of International Webinar and Technical Festival, namely CyberShadez 2022, with the current year theme as Blue Eyes. It's so encouraging to see you all having joined virtually at the inauguration. Faculty of Computer Technology and Faculty of Computer Applications and Information Technology organize jointly every year the International Webinar and Technical Festival based on the trending technologies, few of past year themes being blockchain, Industry 4.0, robotic process automation, enterprise mobility, Internet of Things, and so on. I, Dr. Savita Gandhi, Dean, Faculty of Computer Applications and Information Technology and Faculty of Computer Technology, JLS University, take this opportunity to welcome chief guest of today's inauguration, none other than Shri Sudhir Nanavati, the vibrant and inspiring leader of the GLS team. Shri Sudhir Bhai is a multifaceted, magnanimous, and charismatic personality, leading us as president of GLS University and executive vice president of Gujarat Law Society. He is well known as distinguished senior lawyer at High Court as well as at Supreme Court of India. He is also recognized for standing up for those who are sincere and fighting for the right cause. GLS University is rapidly expanding both qualitatively as well as quantitatively under his leadership and consolidating its position on an ongoing basis around the globe. It is indeed a great honor and privilege to welcome our Executive Director, Madam Chandni Kapadia. We all know she has been awarded with CEO of the Year Award by Indian Achievers Forum in September 2020. And along with this, Chandni Madam has also featured in Forbes list of top 20 women entrepreneurs of India. Madam's association with education is for more than a decade now. As the Executive Director at Gujarat Law Society and GLS University, she drives international collaborations with different universities across the globe. I would like to welcome Provost of GLS University, Dr. Bhalchand Joshi sir, our cherished senior member, a man of literature with a humble manner, who is constantly supporting and motivating us for various activities. It's my pleasure to welcome Director General, GLS University, Dr. Hitesh Ruparel sir. Dr. Dharmesh Shah, our Registrar and Professor of Finance at MBA, is a young and highly energetic individual. Dr. Dharmesh is a strong guiding force who is always willing to assist. It's my pleasure and honor to greet you, Dr. Dharmesh Bhai. I also extend a warm welcome to the allied team, which includes principals of various colleges, deans and directors of various faculties of GLS University, other GLS University office bearers, HODs of Computer Department, Dr. Harshal Arolkar at the PG level and Dr. Tripti Dodi at the UG level, faculty members, administrative staff at the central office, frontline managers, secretaries and peons, and all other different unit teams involved in maintaining the campus and reputation of GLS. Mr. Kuldeep Pabla, Executive Vice President, Products and Engineering at Sira.ai, is today's guest of honor. Kuldeep is a motivated and strategic technology leader who believes in applying a data-driven holistic platform approach to problem solving with voice, Internet of Things, cloud services, and applied machine learning to solve problems. He lives in the state of California in United States of America. He is also a graduate of the first batch of M.Sc students in Gujarat University's Department of Computer Science, Rolwala Computer Center. There could not be a finer person to speak on the theme of Blue Eyes of our Tech Fest event. Kuldeep, I extend a hearty greeting and welcome to you, and thank you for accepting the invitation despite your busy schedule. Last but not the least, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of the virtual event participants from all across India and the world. I also congratulate you all on your decision to participate in various events. You are the ones who have the courage to put your abilities to the test. I'm convinced that the numerous events will stimulate your mind and allow you to be creative and think beyond the box. Do make it difficult for the judges to determine the winners by participating to the best of your ability and give a tough competition. I wish you the very best of luck in your future endeavors. I realize that you are all looking forward to hearing our President Sir and the keynote speaker, Mr. Kuldeep Pabla. Without taking up any more time, I would want to give a warm welcome to all of you once again who have come to join us. Best wishes for the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Savita ma'am. An educationist by heart, a researcher by mind. I request Dr. Harshal Arolkar Professor and Head, PG Programs, FCAIT and FCT at GLS University, to brief us about the upcoming event today.
Dignitaries present in this August virtual gathering: Dr. Sudhir Nanavati, President, GLS University; Dr. Chandni Kapadia, Executive Director, GLS University; Mr. Kuldeep Pabla, Executive Vice President, Sierra AI USA; Dr. Balchandra Joshi, Provost, GLS University; Dr. Dharmesh Shah, Registrar, GLS University; Dr. Hitesh Ruparel, Director General, GLS University; Dr. Savita Gandhi, Dean, FCIT and FCT; Deans, Directors and Heads of various institutions of GLS University and GLS; my colleague, Dr. Tripti Doria, and all the faculty members of FCIT and FCT, invited guests, and my dear participants from all across India. A very good morning to one and all present over here. CyberShadez is a flagship technical event of FCT and FCIT. This is the 16th edition of CyberShadez. Over the years, more than 8,000 students have participated and have won prizes worth lakhs of rupees. Let me now give you a brief statistics of CyberShadez 2022. So more than 500 participants are present in this particular event. 30 plus institutes are participating from across India. 16 plus universities from states like Maharashtra, Haryana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat have participated. We also have a team from Australia. This being a virtual event, I think international reach is now possible to us. A total of 16 events have been conducted, and today also some events will be conducting. We have events like Tickle Your Mind, which is an idea presentation event. We had Hackathon, which is a 6-hour long programming competition event, wherein participants propose solutions to real life problems. We have event like Python Charmer, which is a code debugging entity, logo design, and many more over the span of 3 days. On 17th February, a competition of web design, programming, and IT quiz was also held for school students. On 18th February, a webinar on data aggregation in Blue Eyes was delivered by Mr. Utpal Dholakia, tech lead at Evre Incorporation USA, and a hackathon was conducted for UG and PG students. We, in short time, will be listening to a keynote address by Mr. Kuldeep Pabla, an eminent IT practitioner. This year, the event has been supported by Spaso Technologies and BizAppDev, who are leading IT companies of Ahmedabad. I wish all the best to all the participants. May the best team win. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Multifaceted and magnanimous, momentous and marvelous. The list of synonyms will always fall short when we would attempt to introduce him. Law is his profession and education his passion, an epitome of intelligence and confidence. I cordially welcome Dr. Sudhir Nanavati, sir, for the presidential address of the event.
Guest of honor and keynote speaker of the morning, Mr. Kuldeep Pabla from USA. My colleagues at the Central Administration, Dr. Savita Gandhi, Dean FCT and FCIT, her colleagues Dr. Arshad Arokar and Dr. Tripti Doria, other heads and the principals and heads of the different institute of GLS, participant students from across the country. Good morning to one and all, and more particularly good evening to Mr. Kuldeep Pabla, who is from state of California, where it would be around 9 p.m. at present. As a president of GLS University, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all at the inaugural function of the annual technical phase CyberShadez 2022, an international webinar on the theme of Blue Eyes, organized jointly by Faculty of Computer Technology and Computer Applications. At the outset, I convey my heartiest gratitude and thanks to Mr. Kuldeep Pabla for accepting our invitation to address the students of information technology in this webinar from United States, where, as I said, at present the time would be around 9 p.m. I am sure that participants would benefit immensely from his experience that he will narrate on the subject today. Throughout the period of COVID-19, GLS University, with the help of information technology, is able to carry out all intellectual activities like experimentation in computer laboratory, various competitions, workshops, seminars, etc. online. Being a part of legacy which had been handed down to us by founding fathers like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Ganesh Mavlankar, and I.M. Nanavati, who established Gujarat Law Society Trust in 1927 following the philosophy of progress. GLS Trust established a private university with the same name in 2015 to cater to the changing academic needs of the society, which underwent huge changes due to rapid industrialization, globalization, and digitalization. As an academic establishment, we have always succeeded in harnessing the benefit of information technology in a way that has shaped and branded our identity. We at GLS strive to create a strong lineup of responsible citizens by mentoring our students through activities and widen their critical thinking and enhance their exposure to the external world. This year also, due to prevailing pandemic situation, the event is again being organized online, and it has provided an opportunity to the participant students from various parts of the country without coming to the campus at Ahmedabad. Information technology is advancing by leaps and bounds in all segments of society and has benefited from the advances that are happening in newer applications of information technology. Industry has been using robots for automation since long. They have been used for activities like arc welding, spot welding, material handling, machine tending, painting, picking, packing, and many more in such routine activities. Today, robots are used in almost every field like medicine, defense and security, automated transportation, education, and regular households. Robots thus impact a huge part of our daily lives, even like at grocery stores and malls. Till recent time, robots were considered as machines used to minimize the efforts of humans. Now, artificial intelligence combined with machine learning, Internet of Things, sensor technology, and edge computing is giving machines immense power possible and thus reducing gap between human and machine. In 2017, a social robot, Sophie, was given a citizenship of Saudi Arabia, the first robot to given legal personhood anywhere in the world. And the world from then has started looking at robots as companion. Many robots on the same lines are being built now, and humans are now expecting androids to have human-like senses. I came across the news recently that China has successfully created a robot judge who will be able to decide cases in the court with the accuracy to the level of 97%. I am happy to learn that this year's theme, Blue Eyes, is addressing the said concern. I am happy to share with you that there has been an overwhelming response to CyberShadez 2022 this year with more than 500 students from 30 plus institutes across the country competing to demonstrate their technical skills. I have been told that students of more than 16 universities from Maharashtra, Haryana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat are participating in this event. I am sure that participation in this technical fest will help you to explore new possibilities in your lives as well as career. Information technology has made it possible today to connect and bridge the gap between us It is a pleasure to see that students sitting in various corners of the country are getting the benefit of listening to speakers from across the globe. I will advise all students participating that do not miss any of the seminars and technical events which are going to be held today, as even without leaving your houses or institute, you can listen and get practical experience. Before I conclude, I take this opportunity in inviting Mr. Kuldeep Pabla to visit GLS University, Ahmedabad, whenever he happens to be in India, and it will be our pleasure to show him different disciplines in which the university is imparting education, as well as we'll have an opportunity to invite the suggestions from him for making suitable changes, particularly in IT programs, which may ultimately help the future generation. It is required to note and appreciate endless efforts of Dr. Savita Ben Gandhi, Dean FCIT and FCT, GLS University, Dr. Arshad Alokar, Head of Department PG Program, as well as Dr. Trupti Dodia, Head of Department UG Program, for organizing this event for the benefit of students community. I extend my best wishes to all the participants and congratulate FCT and FCIT team for organizing this technical festival and international webinar. Thank you very much and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. It is your blessings and support that always motivates all other institutes under the GLSU umbrella to excel and showcase their best talents. We are indeed gratified by the presence of our distinguished keynote speaker for the event, Mr. Kuldeep S. Pabla, Executive Vice President, Products and Engineering, Sierra.ai, USA. Mr. Kuldeep Pabla is a passionate technology leader and entrepreneur with extensive experience of over 25 years. Sir has 33 granted patents to his credits. Mr. Kuldeep has adorned his strategic expertise at several leadership positions, while his technical expertise is witnessed in different technologies as artificial intelligence, edge computing, IoT, cloud platforms and services, Android applications, and many more. On behalf of FCAIT and FCT, I once again welcome you, sir, and request you to deliver the keynote address for the event.
Can you allow me to present?
Yes, sir, you can present now.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
First of all, thank you, everybody. This was a really humbling introduction, and as ma'am says earlier, it's very nostalgic. Like I'm talking to ma'am, presenting to my own people after 30 years, I'll say. So first of all, thank you, Dr. Nanavati. Thank you, Dr. Gandhi, Professor Kanojia, and everybody else in the organization and on the executive team. At the same time, all the participants across the world. And it's really a pleasure to present to this esteemed audience, talking about the technology trends at the CyberShadez 2022. I'll try to keep it very simple, no jargons, I would say English, not even English, so that, everybody can understand who do not even know, all the jargons of the computer science. As many of you know, and as Dr. Gandhi talked about, I did my master's from Rolwala Computer Center, which I think now is part of the Gujarat University Center. Like many of you, I've been learning a lot from Dr. Gandhi, and I'll continue to learn ever since I joined the Rolwala organization. She made me go back into during my times at Rolwala. So I still remember that my 5th semester internship I did with ISRO, which is the Space Application Center. And based on that, for the 6th semester internship, I was invited by CDAC, which was the supercomputing organization at that time. I don't know what they do today, but at that time, we're building supercomputers. And after completing my internship with CDAC, I was offered to join CDAC as a member of technical staff. This is what you are seeing is the Param 8000. And I just wanted to put it in the context. So if you don't know what is Param 8000, it was the very first supercomputer made in India in 1991. Just to give you some background, it had 256 20 megahertz CPUs. Let me repeat, it's 20 megahertz, not gigahertz. And at the peak performance, it could have done 1 gigaflops, which is like floating point operations or the real operations. This may not give you any background, just to give you some more context. If you were doing facial recognition or if you were doing fingerprint recognition using this supercomputer in 1991, it would have taken a few hours. That's it. So if you were trying to log in with your fingerprint, you would have waited for a couple of hours at least to log into your system so that you can do whatever you wanted to do. Fast forward, the same thing you can do with teeny iPhone 13 and perhaps milliseconds or maybe microseconds. So you can imagine in 30 plus years how the computer science or the compute engines have advanced. Somewhere from 1 gigahertz, 1 gigaflops within 20 megahertz. Now we're talking about 3.2 gigahertz, or some of the new processors are even at 3.5 gigahertz. And during the 1991 era, there were no GPUs. And now we are talking about GPUs, we are talking about NPUs, which is the neural networking processors. We are talking about machine learning or artificial intelligence processors, which were not there at that time. And if I go by the Moore's law, Moore was the co-founder of Intel. So number of transistors in microchip doubles every 2 years, and the cost is halved. And this is very obvious with this whole advancement. If you think about the giant supercomputer Param 8000, it's big, it's bulky, and it used to generate a lot of heat. And much more power is built into the small iPhone, which is not producing any heat. Its battery life is huge. And it can do much more, I would say much more than what a supercomputer could do in 1991. Similarly, if you grew up, or if your parents grew up in the 90s era, there were no phones. I would literally say there were no phones. If you had to call somebody, you had to go to an STD or ISD PCO booths from where you could have called somebody. Little fast forward, people started getting phones at home. We had to wait for 7 to 10 years to get a phone line at home, unless you had some connections. Fast forward a little bit more, the bulky handsets started coming out, the wireless handsets or the cell phones at that time. And today, this is what is happening. So what has happened over the last 30 years is the connectivity has shrunk the world. The fiber networks, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth low energy, personal area network, a lot of new protocols have come in, and those are already enhancing the way we work, the way we communicate. And if this communication or the connectivity was not there, I wouldn't be talking to you over a virtual network or virtual presentation today. So you can imagine how much advancements have happened over the last 30 years or so. Similarly, if you think about storage, I still remember seeing magnetic spools in our computer center at Rolwala, and then came in the floppy disk. These were just 48 kilobytes of floppy disk. So you couldn't have stored more than 48 kilobytes. And then came in the 96 and all those things. in the mid 90s or late 90s, the DVDs or the CDs started coming out, the hard disk with the higher capacities. In 2005, I was jumping because I got 2 terabytes disk, 2 of the 2 terabyte disk. And in 2005, that was supposed to be the most we could have got at that time. And now that 2 terabytes, I'm sure, your phones will start having 2 terabytes very soon. So the storage, which is really faster, much more reliable than what it used to be, like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, much more compact so that you can put in more storage into your phones or your devices, and very economical. Now you can buy storage, 1 gigabyte of storage for less than ₹1. You can imagine how much of advancements has happened. And because of these advancements, the infrastructure that we are talking about nowadays, compute power, storage, connectivity, it's shrinking the overall footprint of any device. And at the same time, it's empowering much more powerful applications like Web 3.0, blockchain, digital transformation, voice over IP, telehealth. You name an application, you name an area, and that's possible today because the infrastructure is growing leaps and bounds, and everything is getting richer and richer, and everything is getting easier. I was just telling my kids a few days ago, during the dot-com era, which was 2000, to set up a new startup, it would have costed me a few $1,000,000 because I had to buy all the infrastructure. Today, I can set up a startup without any money. I can go to Amazon, get some free accounts. I can borrow some other stuff, free accounts, and I can set up my first website for free for at least for a year. And then onwards, I can start paying for all those things. But if you think about all those things, all these applications we are talking about, they're not just simple applications. They're very complex applications, and they're generating tons and tons of data. And it has become more like a spiral thing where, the data is being consumed by the machine learning algorithms, which is generating a lot of knowledge. The knowledge leads to a lot of intelligence, and intelligence leads to smart applications. So this has become more like, a circle where more data is leading to more knowledge leads to more intelligence of the systems, and more intelligence leads to the smart applications. So as the infrastructure is growing, as the communication or the connectivity is growing, the more devices coming onto the network, the ecosystem of data, ecosystem of machine learning based applications is growing. And life is in a way, life is becoming easier. So when you get out of your home, there must be a lot of cameras looking at you. And in India especially, it's very common that a lot of cameras are capturing live videos, or you can capture live videos of any event happening, especially all the crime happening in the world, so that you can post it onto the social network and grab a lot of attention. It's possible only because there's a lot of infrastructure. Previously, it was not there. And this infrastructure also led to the success of artificial intelligence or machine learning. If you guys know, artificial intelligence is nothing new. It started in 1960s, but it never succeeded because there was no infrastructure, there was no data. And because there was no data, there was no intelligence, there was no knowledge. And the applications which were coming out with the expert systems at that time, they did not succeed because they could not learn. So data is, as people say, the data is the gold behind all the learning. You can make simple decisions, you can make complex decisions with data, you can generate, again, more and more knowledge, and it becomes more like a circle. Over the last decade or so, a lot of new applications for machine learning and artificial intelligence have come up. So it has been maturing, and it has been reaching out to you guys. Every user is directly or indirectly using machine learning or artificial intelligence. When you're watching Netflix, behind the scene, there is machine learning recommending things to you. It's recommending what shows you should watch. It's recommending which movies you should be watching. It's all based on the data you are feeding back to Netflix, and Netflix is crunching that data and telling you this is what you should be watching based on what you watched previously. One of the biggest area that has benefited out of this machine learning is the whole voice recognition, natural language processing. I still remember in the early 2000s, the computers or the devices could not understand my Indian accent. I had to literally, stress it out or pay a lot of, invest a lot of energy into making AT&T or, other devices understand what I was trying to say. Sometimes I had to type it in because they couldn't understand my accents. But today, there's no problem. When I had to change a channel, I just use my voice. When I'm driving my car, I just use my voice. When I'm chatting with somebody while driving a car, so that, I'm not distracted, I use my voice. It wouldn't have been possible if there was no machine learning, if there was no data to, train the machine learning models and understand what's going on. All sorts of applications are coming up where, machine learning or artificial intelligence plays a big role. I worked with a company called K4 Connect, which built a very simple smart home application for older adults. We made use of the data coming from those applications to predict if the older people or the senior citizens are suffering from any kind of chronic disease or healthcare problems without they even knowing about it. Because the devices around us, the IoT or the devices, the wearable devices you're wearing, those devices are communicating a lot of things about you, which also is a concern because it's infringing your privacy. But at the same time, if you think on the positive side, that information being transmitted is mined by somebody, some applications, the ones we built for the older adults. And we were looking into how much time an older adult is spending in the washroom or a bathroom, because most of the accidents happen in the bathrooms. They slip, they break their hips, and that's the end of their life. And by observing how much time they spent previously as a norm and how much time they are spending today, we're able to send some staff members to go and look for what's happening in so-and-so room, so that we could save some lives. We could help the older people and prevent them falling and injuring themselves. Traffic predictions, when you are going from one place to another, God Google or God Apple tells you, how much time it will take you from point A to point B. They also talk to you about, which route you should be taking. And most of their predictions are very accurate. I would say plus minus accuracy of 5%. It's all possible because of the data mining or, the machine learning models they have and the reinforcement. As the new data is coming in, they're using the latest data to predict more and more and build more and more models. So I can talk about lots of applications which are going on in this current world and what's coming up. So I wanted to look into what can we do going forward. Some of the participants who are in this hackathon or on this CyberShadez, multi-language voice recognition. So imagine that, India has multiple languages. It's a multicultural country, multiple languages. If I can remember it, it supports 16 scripts and multiple dialects. If I speak in Punjabi, my Tamil friends will not be able to understand and vice versa. So what if we can support multiple languages, voice recognition for multiple languages using machine learning? Today, if I had to say which is the best language supported by voice recognition, it's the Chinese Mandarin, not even English, because they invested into it and they made sure that their voice recognition engine was used by most of the Chinese residents. So currently there are roughly 21 languages supported, except for I would say top 3 or 4. Most of them are not that accurate and not that fluent. So there is a lot of effort required to make them better. At the same time, the language which are not supported, those could also be supported. And how is that done? Basically, it's looking into as we speak, we are generating waves. So it's looking into how those waves are transmitting, how those waves are behaving, and what those waves are generating as the sound. and they can understand those sounds, and they can convert into the voice. More importantly, nowadays nobody speaks pure languages. If you're speaking English, there are lots of words of Hindi, lots of words of Gujarati, lots of words of Punjabi. So we usually speak mixed languages. So these voice engines, should they not be able to understand those mixed languages? I think they should be. English, I use Punjabi, Urdu, because even Urdu or Hindi are not pure. We intermix all of those. So that's one of the ideas I thought about. Based on the voice recognition, it could be done. Think of this again. India is multilingual. If somebody is talking in Kannada, how would somebody who doesn't know Kannada understand it? So could we do real-time translation, which is not possible today? And that would mean if we have to do it in real time, that means those models need to be very quick, very fast. There needs to be a lot of a compute engine behind it. The internet needs to be very fast. So on one end, I'm speaking in Hindi, which is transmitted to my cloud, converted into the Hindi voice recognition, and then on the fly translated into some other language that I want to use and communicated to my counterparts on the other side. Things very simple. And this is what we as the humans do. Like, when you're listening to all the conversations happening at UNO or, even in our parliament, somebody is doing live translation. Could computers do that? That would be, another idea. Conversational AI. As I'm speaking to you, and, as the previous guests talked about their ideas, and they talked about this event going on, we were able to understand all those things. And if the context changed, we understood that context as well. But if you think about most of the chatbots, they don't understand a little complex query because they're all rules based. They don't understand the context. They have limited, I would say, hard-coded canned responses, and they can easily frustrate a user. So what if chatbots talk like humans? So a simple example I built a few years ago as part of my startup was selling insurance, a car insurance over the network. Now, if a human is selling the car insurance, and if you're buying the car insurance, you will talk. If I'm selling the car insurance, I'll be asking you a few questions to collect a lot of information about you. I'll ask about your birth date. I'll ask about your license information, when your license was issued, when your license will be expiring. I'll ask you about your car information. When was the car purchased? When was the car built? So if I just keep it simple, there are multiple dates involved. And if you're telling me all those dates, and then suddenly you realize that, the car purchase date you told me was not correct, you may simply say, oh, I'm sorry, the date is so-and-so. Now, as a human, I'll understand the context. I'll try to understand, which date you talked about. Did you talk about your license date? Did you talk about your birth date? Did you talk about your, car purchase date? If I don't understand, I'll ask you some simple but smart questions. Which date are you talking about? Are you talking about your birth date? Are you talking about your license expiry date? But if I can narrow it down that, it cannot be a birth date, it cannot be a license expiry date, then I'll simply ask you, are you talking about your car purchase date? So as humans, we are very smart in understanding all those things because we can easily relate to the context. But as machines, we don't have that expertise as of today. So though these chatbots are becoming smarter and smarter, but they have a long way to go. And something like that could be built. And how could that be built? A simple idea could be put it into different spheres. If the question is in the middle sphere, or think of it like in a deviation. If the question is in the middle sphere, answer it from the middle sphere. If the question is not in the middle sphere, but the adjoining spheres, answer from that adjoining spheres, or try to confirm it by asking more questions. And sometimes I also call it failing gracefully. So instead of just coming up with frustrating answers, you could ask open-ended questions. What do you mean by this? How did it happen? And when was this? So some open-ended but smarter questions, which could lead to smarter chatbots. A few years ago, I worked at a company called CloudCar, which is all about connected cars. And as you can imagine, autonomous cars are already happening. Google, Apple, Tesla, they're investing a lot of efforts into making the autonomous cars a reality. In California, I can see a lot of what we call the mid-mile autonomous cars, which are flying between fixed locations from my warehouse to your warehouse and your warehouse to my warehouse. In the process, they're collecting a lot of information. They're trying to understand the routes. So autonomous cars, though legally they are not yet there, but a lot of features are already coming in. So I'm thinking fast forward. If there are autonomous cars, would I need to go and drop my kids for their sports events or their swimming events or the classes? I can simply call the car and say, hey, can you pick up my son from XYZ location and drop at my home? At the same time, would I need to buy more cars? Like right now in my home, I have multiple cars because I need one car for myself. I need one car for my wife. Would I need multiple cars? If we don't have similar timings, could my car go and drop my wife first, come back, and then pick me up and drop me up? And then during the daytime, when we are not using our cars, could that car be used by Uber so that I can make some money out of it? In the evening, the reverse could happen depending on when I want to go home. It can pick me up from my office, or when my wife wants to come home, the car could pick her up from her office and drop her at the home. So you can imagine all these things happening with the autonomous cars. At the same time, I'm thinking more like a digital chauffeur. When you get into the car, the first time, if your chauffeur is new, you'll have to tell him or her, take me to so-and-so place. First few times, you may need to tell them that, hey, I'm going from home to my office and my office is in so-and-so place. But the next time they'll not ask you because they know that it's 9 a.m. And at this point of time, most likely you'll be going to your office. And they'll, instead of they asking you, they'll confirm with you, should I take you to office? Could the autonomous car do the same thing for you? So instead of they asking you, instead of you telling the car to take you from point A to point B, could the cars automatically take you from point A to point B after confirming with you? So those are some of the things I'm foreseeing will happen in the near future. And because the underlying technology of the autonomous cars is already there or it's coming, entrepreneurs could build on top of it. And there will be APIs. Same with predictive healthcare. All the IoT devices or all the wellness devices, like your Apple Watch, your weighing scale, your blood pressure device, all of them have either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi built into it. All of them are communicating to certain other devices, either to your phones or to the cloud, like Fitbits, they're communicating. When this data is collected, first of all, they can look into predicting your own health, your individual health. Like, you are 30-year-old. Based on the data I'm collecting, could you run into some chronic healthcare problems? Like I've been working with University of Central Florida, doing research on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's patients. Both of them are very chronic diseases. There's no cure for Alzheimer's, there's no cure for Parkinson's. The drugs you get in the market today, they are suppressant. Same thing for depression. And depression is not for older people. Depression could start at a younger age itself. ADHD, anxiety, all these are chronic diseases for the younger people. But if we have a lot of data, going by the symptoms, going by their health records, could the system start predicting that if you don't change your lifestyle, the next 10 years or 20 years, you will have Alzheimer's, or you will have Parkinson's, or you will have depression. And if you know that today that, in the next 20 years, you will have these problems, I bet you will change your lifestyle and you will prepare for it. Even heart attack doesn't happen instantaneously. There's a lot of time before the heart attack. Heart attack actually starts few days or few weeks before actually it happens. So could that be detected? And if it is detected based on certain symptoms, certain data collected from your body area network, could the data be used to predict that, hey, if you don't rush to the hospital right now, you will have heart attack in 10 hours or 15 hours or 20 hours. So that could save a lot of lives. So while the data is also being used for fake news, the data could be used for saving lives as well. Same way, we know that animals can predict earthquakes. Whenever an earthquake is coming, animals run away from those areas because they have senses that we don't. Could we mimic those senses? Could we have sensors so that we can start predicting in the high earthquake areas like California that today there'll be an earthquake of the scale of 3, but in next 2 months, there will be an earthquake which could be at the scale of 5 or 6 or 7. And by predicting all those things, we can save a lot of damages, we could save a lot of lives. Tsunamis, same thing. If we can predict tsunamis, we can save a lot of lives. Before I conclude, there's a lot of things happening in reading your mind. There are multiple companies in the United States and Canada who are trying to understand what you are thinking. So this is a picture of a headset. They have multiple sensor points. So if you wear the headset in the correct way, it's trying to understand how your neurons are communicating. It seems that when you're thinking, the neurons are generating some kind of musical notes. And these devices are trying to understand what those musical notes means. Very simple example is, if you're on a laptop and if you want your cursor to move to a given button or a given link, and if you're thinking about it, hey, move the cursor to so-and-so link, it will go and click on that. That's a simple thing. But it could learn a lot about what you're thinking. Fast forward, if you have all this data about how people are thinking, what are they thinking, that could also be mined to convert machines into thinking machines, because they're trying to mimic what you are thinking. So what's happening in the whole machine learning artificial arena? Just going with the flow of thinking like humans. The first stage of machine learning was more about mimicking humans. What that meant was we collected a lot of data, we mined the data, we processed the data, and we looked into what the data is trying to tell us. And we used simple architecture that worked really well, but these models were very specialized. They solved one problem at a time. They did not look into out of the box. If the model did not understand the problem, they failed. But humans don't think that way. We have the ability to think on the spot. We have the context. We have lots of other senses that, that's why we are human and we are not machines. But the second phase of machine learning is learn like humans, learn like kids. Now, how do kids learn? We think that we are teaching them. No, they start learning before we start teaching them. They start observing us. They start observing their surroundings. They are collecting a lot of information from their surroundings. If you just go back and think about how you are learning new things, and you will know that you don't need too much of information to learn a lot of things. So current machine learning models, artificial intelligence models require a lot of data. The new research is going on. How could it learn with a little data, with the list, the recently happened events, so that they can learn quickly? And it's called meta learning. So learning how to learn, not like what to do, but learning how to learn. That's what we do. Like in our schools, we don't learn what we do in the industry. We learn how to solve those problems. So it's very similar. Learn like humans. As of today, computers cannot do multitasking, but we humans, we can do a lot of multitasking. So could machines do multitasking? Could they behave exactly like humans? So that's the next thing in the whole machine learning future. And last thing I'll say is we wouldn't need people to write code because the machine will be generating the codes. I'll conclude here. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. And I hope this was useful. This helped you understand what the machine learning is going, or the artificial intelligence is going. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the enlightening all our participants with your kind wisdom and the knowledge regarding AI and machine learning and blue eyes. Thank you so much. Let us now take a quick glimpse of few robotics and AI projects explored by our students. The prototypes have been developed using IoT kits like Arduino and photon particle microcontrollers, as well as single board computers like Raspberry Pi. We are happy to inform you that all these projects have been explored and developed by the undergraduate students of FCIT department studying in the BCA and integrated M.Sc IT courses at the GLS University.
Marchu project, which works as an assistant for blind people. There's an ultrasonic sensor which will be helpful in identifying the distance from obstacle. If the obstacle is at the distance of 90 centimeter, the buzzer will beep. There is piezoelectric transducer, which works on pressure mechanism. It works on the principle of converting mechanical energy into electrical energy. The entire setup will be fitted in the sole of the shoe. The accelerometer will be helpful in counting the steps. The step count can be seen on the serial monitor. And the data transmission will be done using the Bluetooth module. This is a school security system. As when a student scans the card, the gate opens up. Similarly, when an anonymous is trying to scan the gate, it doesn't open up. A similar device has been installed in the bus as well, and a GPS system to track down the location of the bus. Raspberry Pi based reader for blind. It is a miraculous system helping blind people. This system will facilitate image to text and audio converted form so that disabled people can hear what is being written on a piece of paper without even touching it. So here, this is the text, and we will have this text converted to audio and text form by using these modules of the system.
Games that blind people can also read, not basically in this project. Automatic document reader for visually impaired people developed on the Raspberry Pi processor board.
System is a secure system for maintaining social distancing at the vaccination kiosks, while in the queue, if the people maintaining social distance, the entry gate will get open automatically. And the person is allowed to enter the kiosk window. And if reaching on the kiosk, and if the person is violating social distance norms, the beep sound will go on with the red light. This is a fall detection system. This system will be used for kids, old people, and patients at hospital. When an entity mapped with a severe accident fall will be detected and buzzer will go on. Wi-Fi will send a signal to the entity's device and Google Map will be launched with nearest hospital in the vicinity. Also, SMS, email and VoIP call will be initiated with entities' health information and real-time location. This is an automatic car parking system. There is this car that will enter through that gate and will open automatically when the space is free. And if the parking is full, the gate will not open and a message will show that the parking is full. Now the car is moving out of the parking system and therefore a message will be shown that the parking slot is free. And another car can enter the system because already the system is free. Line following obstacle avoidance robot following defined path and Bluetooth module is responsible for controlling the robot. If any obstacle comes in the vicinity of the robot will change the path automatically and decide its optional route. The radar system. When any of the suspicious flying objects enters the radar range, a buzzer will go on and indicate the presence of flying object. And also, a notification will be sent to the control room or to the connected device, which will indicate the presence of such flying objects.
This is a digital box. You can see in this OLED, you can see current date, present quantity of water is 10, which is base level, then temperature, which is 27 degrees Celsius. This is both thing you can see in this. And previously temperature was 27 degrees Celsius and now it is 40 degrees Celsius because we have pour hot water inside this. So you can see our temperature is working or not. So for that we have pour hot water. And in percentage, previously water percentage was 10%, now it is 60% because we have pour water inside this bottle. With the same, we have as we have connected Blink app with our mobile, so mobile has been connected with this bottle. So the same data which you can see in this OLED is you can see in this mobile. So here water availability is 59% and temperature is 40 degrees.
Well, this is the amalgamation of opportunity and innovations happening at FCAIT GLS University. All successful endeavors are a result of untiring efforts and undeterred support of the entire team. An exemplary leader, an illustrative motivator. I request Dr. Tripti Dodia, Associate Professor and Head, UG Programs, FCAIT GLS University, to extend her vote of thanks.
A warm and graceful morning to all. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this event possible. On behalf of Faculty of Computer Applications and IT and Faculty of Computer Technology, I extend my sincere thanks to the Almighty for making the event a grand success. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Shri Sudhir Nanavati Sir, President, GLS University, who continues to inspire us to work with enthusiasm and dedication. Sir, your presence is a great source of motivation for all of us. I take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Kuldeep Pabla, Executive Vice President, Products and Engineering, Sierra AI, for accepting our invitation and grace the occasion. I take this opportunity to heartily thank Ms. Chandni Kapadia, Executive Director, GLS University, for her constant support and encouragement to march forward in our quest for knowledge. My heartfelt thanks to Dr. Hitesh Ruparel, Director General, GLS University, Dr. B.H. Joshi, Provost, GLS University, and Dr. Dharmesh Shah, Registrar, GLS University, for their guidance and encouraging us to achieve many endeavors. I would like to express sincere thanks to eminent speaker, Mr. Utpal Dholakia, Tech Lead, Everest RE Incorporation, USA. Sir, your deep and intellectual way of imparting knowledge has added to the glory of this event. A sincere thanks to the deans, directors, principals, and heads of GLS institutes for sparing their valuable time and joining this event. I thank all our judges for taking out precious time to judge the events. I would like to acknowledge and thank our sponsors, Spaco Technologies and BizAppDev. A special thanks to Central Office staff and technical staff for their support and cooperation in arranging this event. Behind every successful event lies the manifold efforts and hard work of our proactive and dedicated staff members. I thank all of you for working as a team and coordinating the event. A special mention to our Dean, Dr. Savita Gandhi, for being the catalyst that stimulated us to do our best. This event would have been incomplete had it not been for the enthusiastic and wonderful participants. It is because of you that we get the confidence to organize such knowledge sharing platforms. Thank you all